Check out the full episode of the Bendy Bodies Podcast on your favorite podcast app.
But the targeted immune therapies, I think, have great promise, and I'm finding great use of them when I need to go there. But I really get a lot of traction for patients with IVIg and plasmapheresis. I find them to be a lot safer with a lot less toxicity concerns, and and easier to do. It's not easy in the sense of insurance approval, of course, but just easier to just get done for the patient.
And tell me more about the plasmapheresis. Like who's a good candidate for that, and how does that work in terms of the number of times that you might need to do it, and some of the details of that?
So apheresis is sort of an umbrella term, and there's lots of different types of machines, and some machines have particular filters where they filter out a particular parameter that's in the plasma. We use a centrifugation system, so we basically take out the blood, it's centrifuged, then it's separated, and we remove the plasma, and we don't return it. So it's not filtered and returned like some of the other machines will do. There's no exchange as it used to be, or it still is called in some clinical scenarios where it's a plasma exchange. And so you get plasma from like the blood bank, and there's an exchange of plasma. But we just do where we remove the plasma, and the volume is replaced with albumin, which is the natural protein of the body. And albumin itself has anti-inflammatory properties. So we infuse the albumin, and the body eventually just renews the plasma component. And so what we find is that removing the plasma does a lot of great things. So as you probably know, it's an FDA-approved treatment for autoimmune diseases. We use it for several different autoimmune neurological disorders, myasthenia gravis just being one of them. So it's a treatment that's well known to remove autoantibodies that circulate in the plasma. But the plasma also has other things that is removed by the centrifugation process, including a lot of the mast cell mediators, a lot of the inflammatory mediators, circulating viral RNA. It removes, obviously, the autoantibodies. It also removes extracellular ATP, which can happen from mitochondrial failure. And I'm finding more and more that that's a component of the fatigue that a lot of long COVID and ME/CFS patients will experience. In fact, I do muscle biopsies, and I have basically seen 100% of them be abnormal at this point. It's too few of an N to say definitively that it's always the case, but it's sort of an exciting development that I think, deserves further looking into. So when the mitochondria start to fail, the ATP is extruded from the cell. And obviously, as we all know, the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria. But so intracellular ATP is critical for the functioning of the cell, but extracellular ATP is actually toxic to the cell. So the fact that it's got a very short half-life. So it's not like it's accumulating at, crazy amounts, but regardless, it's in the plasma. And so it's being removed along with plasmapheresis. And so I think that's one of the reasons why patients do so well with plasmapheresis. With regards to how many sessions you need, so first of all, it's not covered by insurance, which is a problem because these are obviously off-label indications, despite the fact that it's an FDA-approved treatment. So it's not cheap because it's a 3-hour treatment. It's a big machine, requires a technically competent nurse. And so it's an expensive treatment to administer, and so it's an expensive treatment to get. So it's not covered by insurance. So that's an obstacle that I wish I can fix tomorrow, but I can't, and I'm thinking of ways to do so. But and then it's 6 treatments is the initial protocol. So it's 2 a week for 3 weeks, basically. And that's sort of the recommended protocol to start the plasmapheresis. And then some patients, in 6 months' time feel like their symptoms are recurring. And so they come back for what we refer to as sort of this maintenance or booster session, which is usually just 2. And then, they seem to do well thereafter. In fact, the half of them don't need that maintenance/booster session.
Oh, really?
They seem to just continue to do well. And largely because after the 6 sessions, I tend to, continue with immunotherapy. So immunosupport. Sometimes I'll keep them on IVIg at lower dosages for a period of time. Other times I'll, work on their mast cells as I had been from the very beginning. But now the medications seem to have more efficacy because we've sort of cleaned out what the medications might have to contend with when they're taken. Because the things that were in the body floating in the plasma that were presumably causing the problem are no longer present. And so it seems that it certainly makes IVIg work a lot faster. That I have seen over and over and over again, because I do a lot of IVIg. And usually if there's a few sessions, it doesn't have to be 6 actually. If you're going to do IVIg, if you have a few sessions of plasmapheresis beforehand, the IVIg seems to be a lot more efficacious and work at a lot faster rate. Oftentimes you have to wait months before you know if it's helpful at all. With plasmapheresis first, then you don't have to necessarily wait months. You usually know within 1 to 2 months if IVIg has been helpful. And it's generally helpful. So I think it just helps also make medications work better, because again, we're just sort of, I hate the word cleansing because it just sort of, there's connotations to that word, but we really are cleansing the plasma, cleaning the body of the unhealthy plasma products. And so I think that's a key to initiation of successful treatment, in my opinion.
Check out the full Bendy Bodies podcast episode on your favorite podcast app.